Hi guys, this is Jack Grimmer and you're listening to the Fulham Focus podcast.
Fulham.
Hello and welcome to the Fulham Focus podcast. I'm Jmac, your host, reporting live from my very posh, you know what, there's a time and a place, this is neither, we've lost again. Now, before we turn to the same Fulham hymn sheet, a match with another awful score written by composer Andre Cretin for the new Netflix football documentary called Fulham, I'm Already Dead, a big thank you to Jack Grimmer for the intro. Jack joined us in January 2012, initially with our youth academy, and went on to be loaned to Port Vale and Shrewsbury, where he impressed and got into Kit Simon's plans during our 14-15 season in the Championship. He's admired for both his defensive intelligence and his attacking qualities as a fullback for the teams he's played for. Sadly, it was the wrong place and the wrong time for us, but he'll always get a warm reception when he next visits the Cottage. Listen to his full Q&A with Danny on the website. Jack Grimmer, we salute you. Right. Reese and John are with me. 4-3-3, Bet, Adoy, Ream, Chambers, MLM, Seri, Cisse, Kenny, Ayiti, Cabano, Vieto. That's the lineup. How did you feel about it? John, I'll go to you.
I was over the moon with the lineup, to be honest. I've, as you guys will both know on the old legendary Fulham Focus WhatsApp group, I've been a massive advocate of the 4-3-3. I felt that the squad was bought, designed and trained in that system, and I've kind of been a bit disgruntled that we've not played it. So before the game, very, very happy.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, so Reese, the 4-3-3 thing, I mean, it's quite staggering because, like John has always been saying in the WhatsApp group, these players are made for this formation, and it was up to players like Cabano and Ayite getting their starts finally that actually this should have made a difference, and we just weren't at the races at all. I mean, what is it, 20 shots and 2 on target? It's just madness, isn't it?
Yeah, I think to some extent, John does have a point. The squad was built to be, assembled in the last summer, built to play 4-3-3. So it was somewhat good, beneficial for them to do that. But at the same time, you'd expect these players, these are professional footballers. They're not robots. They are human beings. You should expect them, expect maybe being the wrong word, but at least feel that they should be able to adapt and change. And if we wanted to go to a different formation, maybe 20 shots obviously shows that we put some attacking effort in, but if we wanted to go to an even more attacking formation, say in the last couple of years, then they should easily been able to do that. You can't expect these players just to play one formation, one position. You buy these players for a multitude of reasons and to play in a multitude of position. For instance, Vieto starting at number 9, I think he's proved that he can occasionally play. He can play on the wing.
I have to just butt in here and say that although I was very happy with the starting lineup, felt it suited our players, and also thought that a 3 in the middle with Kenny and Seri both playing, which I have believed is our strength, that it didn't work. I thought we'd overrun a League 2 midfield and absolutely dominate them, but we definitely didn't. A lot of credit needs to go to Oldham. I actually asked, what league are these guys in again? And I was shocked to find out what league they were in, because I thought they were a really decent outfit and they were very compact and well drilled, and they made it difficult for us. And the Vieto at the front 3 just reminded me last season of us before Mitro, basically. It was watching Rui Font jumping for balls that he would never win against 6'4" defenders who just a nudge in the back, and it was so I like the lineup. I thought the lineup suited us, and now everything I've ever believed has gone flying straight out the window.
I mean, for sure. I mean, Reese, rather, like Ayite, Cabano and Vieto, there's been a lot of criticism on social media. I mean, do you think it's justified? A lot of people saying they don't want to see these players starting ever again for us.
I think that's just a lot of anger being brought out, just how, we'll get onto the performance itself and the result later on. But I think there's just been a lot of anger, and everyone's just so everyone's just gotten a little bit too emotional. I think Aite and Cabano do still have roles to play at the club, and I don't want to single out any one or two individual players because I think the whole team, I said on Twitter that 90% sarcastically, but there's some element of seriousness to it, that the team should surrender their wages for this week. I think it's harsh to sort of label it down to just two players. I think the whole squad needs to have a good hard look at themselves. The management and the backroom staff as well.
All right, very good. And John, I mean, look. So how did you see the game panning out? I mean, it was almost. Was this a slippery banana, like inevitable? It almost seems like this was always going to happen because it's us. But what on earth do you think was going on there?
I think the first half performance was pretty abysmal. I mean, you kind of need an outlet, and you need as I said earlier, I thought the midfield would overrun them and create chances for no one, but we almost had no one up front, and it was weak, it was soft. I mean, the first half was nothing short of abysmal. I do think Oldham were very well organised, and I was amazed that, supposedly an upgrade in Seri and Cisse, who's been a bit of a lost man. I was amazed we didn't do more in the middle. We almost gave the ball out wide and expected them to do something and put a ball to someone who wasn't there, and we just had more questions than answers. Oldham didn't look great, but organised. We just lacked ideas. We lacked anything. It was a bewildering first half because at no point did I feel that they were going to score, but likewise we weren't going to score, and we should have probed and asked more questions than we actually did.
Yeah, and I think sort of some of this comes down to an attitude. I was listening to Talk Sport today, and for the love of God, thank you, Leicester, for taking some of the heat, and to an extent Cardiff taking some of the heat off us this weekend, because otherwise we'd have been the big boys. When it comes down to just the whole performance of it, I think there was, in a sense, a bit of arrogance to it. Like the players, because Aite and Cabano were part of the team that was part of the 23 game unbeaten run. They played their part. So there must have been obviously some arrogance there, thinking, right, we're good enough to be higher up the Championship. This League Two side, we should be able to take care of it. And I think, do you think Ranieri sort of went in with a proper game plan, or do you think he just said, right, this team, Tom Kenny, decent player, Seri, decent player, Adoi, Riemann, Chambers, yeah, it's League Two, they'll be able to keep him quiet. Aite, Cabano, they're fast. League Two players are quite slow. Just ran at them. Do you think that Ranieri just didn't have the right game plan as a whole, and that sort of contributed to the performance because he didn't quite get his messages across?
I'll jump in on that and say, to be honest, although I was happy with the lineup, I can't really understand it, because Ranieri has basically ripped up what was successful for so long and decided that he wants to play this way. So we play that way in the Premier League, and you can't argue the defence hasn't got better, and we're not conceding as many, and we weren't playing great under Slav, so it wasn't like it was the dreamland of Slav. We were creating chances left, right, so we weren't. But if you're going to say no, this is not going to work, then why in a cup game play really quite a really strong squad? If you ask me, I was shocked at how strong the squad was, and then change it to a system that you're not happy with and that you've kind of already said isn't good enough. And this was a chance for players to kind of fit into a system and see how it worked. And he kind of just reverted back to an old system that he'd ruled out. I didn't get that. And once again, we're playing players out of play. I mean, we lacked a focal point. You saw in the Championship how we were toothless without someone decent up front or some strength up front. I was calling for Kamara. I didn't think Mitro would play, but I was calling for Kamara. I thought as soon as the second half started, put Kamara on. But it was weak. And if we're going to go on to the second half, I thought Cabano actually put his hand up, and I thought he did some outstanding things. And if he had been given a chance in the Premier League and done that as opposed to AK, we might see him starting most weeks now, because he caused them a lot of problems, and he was very dangerous on the left wing in the second half. But it just we just seem like we're rudderless. We build a team to play a system, and then things aren't going well, so we throw away all of the good feeling, all of everything that went. So I'm ranting a bit, but everything that was good. I felt so happy turning up to Fulham last season. I felt like we played football the right way, doing the right things. We had a system, we had a manager, we had players. We spent money to get players who can play with the ball, possession football, and then we threw it all away. We threw it all away with Ranieri coming in, and I'm lost. I'm lost for words at kind of how we've gone from that feel-good factor to kind of sitting here talking about losing to Oldham. And let's put it into perspective. This game didn't matter. It really didn't matter. But I think, like, we've got to the stage where, like, one straw can break the camel's back, and it's everything. Everything is going wrong. Everything is not quite fitting. I mean, I don't see progression. I don't see anything. I mean, it's just it's so upsetting to be watching, really, to be witnessing.
Do you think that, as much as it has sort of gone into absolute chaos and downward spiral on social media and everything, do you think the fact that it was a somewhat weakened side, not weak, but weakened side, because imagine if this was the first team that put in that performance, it would have been even worse. Do you think the fact that it was, a lesser side, so to speak, just takes some of the edge away from that?
I think it's slightly, I say slightly because I mean very slightly unfair on the midfield to kind of, they didn't do a very good job, but they didn't have they didn't have someone who could, they didn't have Mitro, they didn't have a striker who was actually, I mean, Vietto was just absolutely useless. I mean, absolutely useless. I don't know what the loan system is, but I can't really see a reason to keep him. He was worse than Cabano and Aite, in my opinion. And we own them, and they succeeded for us in the Championship. So, if any of the three are going to go, then for me it's him. I think it's, as I say, slightly unfair because the midfield didn't have an outlet. We were putting crosses in, and it was boys against men. There was no way we were going to win a header in their box because we didn't have, we were giving, a foot away to their defenders. So. And I do think the midfield slightly, when you've got three quick players, it needs to be the through balls. It needs to be a bloke on the last man. Not giving the ball out wide and expecting bloody Vietto to rise like a doy, ironically, to head the ball in. It wasn't a weak side. It was not. It was actually a really surprisingly strong side, which is kind of where my dreams of us playing beautiful 4-3-3 kind of just crash and burn, really, because oh God, I don't even know where to go with it. Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah, and that's that point. We're going to get onto it. We're going to get onto it later because I've got a doozy of a question for you guys in the quiz. But I just want to take you back to Sheffield United in that 2014 Cup run. Look at the side we had out then. Regardless of you want to criticise whether the manager played things wrong or played the wrong formation or played the wrong player. That side should still have been able to do the job. And I maintain that, in the Sheffield United games, because they took us to a replay, that side is good enough to do the job. Regardless of if the manager got some things wrong, that side is good, should have been good enough to beat a League Two side at Oldham. And fair play to Oldham, they gave it a go. They never gave up. That we're going to get onto the game. The penalty miss, or when it got the penalty, should really have been a morale. The fact they saved and then that was a bit of a morale changer. Good on them for sort of capitalising on it. But that squad that he put out, that side, should have been able to do the job, which is why I say, yes, the manager needs to take some stake, but the players need to have a big, hard look at themselves for how that game panned out.
Well, no, of course. And you've got to remember that this is a team, I think they lost 6-0 to Carlisle recently, Oldham Athletic. I mean, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke that we're losing to this team. It's not good at all. And going on to the penalty, I mean, I've got nothing against Mitrovic. I think Mitrovic is our best player by a country mile. I love him. But I find it bizarre that he would come on and his first kick as a substitute would be a penalty kick. Is this not madness, or am I on my own here, guys?
No, I think I'm absolutely with you. I think there was somewhat of a coincidence to it because Mitrovic was already going to come on. He was ready to come on, and then the penalty got given. But I just think in that situation, I don't know if And obviously, you're going to have to talk about the penalty incident from a couple of weeks ago against Huddersfield. I was listening to I had gentleman Jim and Jamie Reid say that 3 times. I was listening to them, and Jamie Reid, as soon as the penalty was given, said, "Get Mitrovic on, get him to take the penalty," sort of to put aside the ghosts of a couple of weeks ago against Huddersfield. I think it was the wrong decision. If you wanted to bring Mitrovic on, fine. But I think in that sort of frame of mind, first kick of the game, I wouldn't have given it to him because he took the ball off Jean-Michel Seri, I believe it was. I think that's actually that would have been a good opportunity because Seri's not had the greatest of seasons for us. Obviously scored the wonder goal against Burnley and had a very good assist, I think it was against Brighton. That would have been a chance for him to get some confidence back. And the fact that he then had to surrender it, I know the whole thing with Mitrovic is the number one penalty taker, yada, yada, yada. But I think in that situation, or even Tom Kearney, I just don't think in that situation when Mitrovic is the first man on or just come on, he should not have taken the penalty, just in my view.
But I mean, is Mitrovic's form struggling, would you say, John? I mean, how did he look to you? You were there when after the penalty kick. I mean, did he seem still amongst it, looking like he could score every now and then?
To be honest, I thought it was a decent enough penalty. I think going slightly back to bickering about who should have taken them before.
Yeah, go for it.
Kamara scored penalties, but of all the penalties he's scored, I've not thought, that was a good penalty. I mean, the keeper might have gone the wrong way, but they were kind of halfway between the middle of the goal and the goalpost. It wasn't, all you've got to do is go the right way and save that. That was actually a decent penalty and a decent save. We were obviously forgetting two steps back, one forward, shall we say. We're forgetting that Cess's first touch on the pitch was to give away a penalty.
Yeah.
And Cess was marking one of their biggest goal threats. You have to wonder whether on the sideline, before he came on, he was told, by the way, Cabano was marking this, which seems crazy anyway. I'm not really sure that was the case, but Cabano was marking this goal threat. Now you go and mark him. So his first impact on the game was to give away a penalty, get a yellow card. And then Mitro's first impact on the game was to miss a penalty, although I think it was quite a well enough taken penalty. So it's amazing how, as a manager, you can make decisions and look like an absolute genius, or you can make decisions and it goes like that. On to Mitro. Mitro really wasn't in the game long enough. We didn't have the ball long enough. It was very stop-start by the time he came on. He wasn't involved very much, and we went long ball near the end, but the long balls weren't towards Mitro, basically. So we're kicking him out for corners and goal kicks and throw-ins. So he did nothing wrong. He didn't have a chance to do anything right, if your honest opinion.
Well, what did you think of Oddoi's performance in that, John? Because I'm hearing through the Twitter sphere, as it were, that he was probably our man of the match.
Oddoi was very good. I mean, he slightly. I mean, probably one of the reasons why we didn't play him at wing back or right or left or whatever. I mean, he could play anywhere really. Was because he wasn't offensively good enough, and he didn't, offer enough going forward. But at times, it felt like he was showboating. Really, he was skinning people. He had 2 players against him. It was refreshing to see, to be honest, because you want players to play with that kind of freedom. And as Matthew said earlier, a bit of arrogance. I think we were arrogant. I think we underestimated them. But arrogance came across in a good way. Really, he was trying to make things happen. I wasn't happy with the formation but with Odoi and Maxime Le Marchand at left and right back, I kind of thought, wasn't quite sure. I mean, I think Brian needs to prove himself to me and get some more game time anyway. But they both played very well, actually. And I think it would be hard to say that Odoi was better than Maxime Le Marchand, because he was really, really solid on the left, actually. And kind of thinking kind of centre backs or limited wing backs playing, they were most certainly not the problem.
I mean, you talk about showboating. Did you see his celebration? It was absolutely amazing. It's like a side somersault that he did. It was probably the only thing that I enjoyed about the fucking game, to be honest. Anyway, but look, I want to talk about Ranieri's comments. Were pretty damning after the game about finally being right about never picking some of these players, and it makes me think if he was right to do this hanging out his dirty laundry, or if he should have kept it private. And I don't know if it's a January window message to the board. But, we've got to have the Ranieri rating now. And, for me, I can't see more than a 4, in my opinion. John, what would you say your rating for Ranieri would be on this one?
Oh, it's a difficult... I mean, I would probably match you with a 4. I could go as high as a 5. I think we've kind of... I think going on to his... it's Oldham. I think it's getting very Oldham. I think getting onto his comments, I think his comments were really, really interesting because as much as he said, well, I've given you guys a go and, you've proved to me you weren't good enough. I wonder if there was also a hidden message there for folk like me who believe that we should be playing a 4-3-3, that he's not only given the players a chance, but I think that might be him saying, well, I've given your formation a chance as well. And you couldn't even do it against Oldham. So I can't see us doing what I hoped we would again, to be honest.
All right.
But with that, you got to say when we've had 2 managers, one who was had the longest unbeaten run out of any of our managers ever in history, and now a Premier League winning manager. If neither of them can get a tune out of these players, then surely can it just lie with the manager? I mean, I'd like you guys to answer that. Are the players just completely useless? Was the recruitment completely useless, or is there no way any manager on earth could get a song out of these players?
I think it's sort of what you've said. I think everyone needs to take a look. Needs to take some form of blame for this. A lot's been said about it. By the way, just quickly, Ranieri rating, I go for 0. But I think as many. People have criticised Tony Card, and to some extent, I understand. The fact that he only posts tweets when we win. He never posts when we lose, and sort of. And there's always this back and forth. Whenever we lose, Tony Khan bought the players or scouted the players, so on and so forth. But then whenever we win, it's always Kevin McDonald gets praised, but it was always one of Tony Khan's players, sort of thing. I can sort of understand there's a bit of a confusion there, but then there is the case of, well, surely Tony Khan should have brought up players that were consistent, and they aren't always bad. They go through bad and good spots. Surely should have brought players that are always good, sort of thing. As the whole club, I think, is in a bit of. I think basically because we pressed the panic button twice. Once in the summer when we figured, right, this squad's not good enough. Let's just spend. Again, some of that you put on Tony Khan for obviously scanning the players. Savisa would have had some say. The board for okaying it. Then obviously we go to December and did we press the panic button too early? So on and so forth. So I think the whole club needs to have. It's something that's goes around the whole club. It's not just one individual person.
I think you're spot on there, and it's hard to disagree. The thing that really annoys me is that a director of football is supposedly supposed to kind of be the person above the coach or manager. That means that when things do change, it's not a massive change. That's the consistency. That the director of football is the person who stops it from being, oh, well, that was that manager's players. This is this manager's players. We have to rip it all up and throw it out the window. Well, Tony Khan's not done that. He has ripped up and thrown it all out the window. And I mean, I think some of the vitriol that's been kind of sent his way and being kind of tweeted into everything and having all this criticism isn't fair. And it's a bit abusive at times. And I'm not really comfortable with that. But realistically, this guy wouldn't get a job in probably professional English football at any other club. So it gets to a point where, if you're not doing a job very well, either you work harder at it or you hold your hands up and say, I'm not good enough. He's probably working hard at it, but he's also managing a failing NFL team and starting a wrestling franchise. So,
which he loves, apparently. He's a big fan of wrestling.
Well, I'm sure he is, but I'm a big fan of Fulham.
Don't knock the wrestling. That thing is going to be big. Don't knock the wrestling. That's going to be big. Trust me.
They'll be probably wrestling at Craven Cottage in League Two soon. But I just think, if you're not good enough for a job elsewhere, you either buckle down and you concentrate on it, or you stand back, you stand down. And I don't know if either of those are happening. I think we're just treading water, really.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be very telling after the January window closes what how we'll look back on this season of the Khans and the entire tenure actually. Go on,
But I
John.
mean, would you be if you were the owner and your son was trying his best and failing or succeeding, whatever? Would you think, oh, you know what, I could buy that player, but actually, I mean, we can't become toxic as a fan base. We can't put our owners off. I think they need to hear mild, constructive criticism, but let's tone it down. We are a club. We are together, and hopefully they're realising what we're realising. But there's no need to kind of be overly nasty, because I'm certain they're trying their best. And whether that can be said about the players, I'm not sure. But sometimes your best isn't good enough, and sometimes someone else needs to come in, and steer the ship. And we tried that with Ranieri, but yeah, I don't know. It's falling around apart us, isn't it, guys?
I completely agree, and it seems like tatters at the moment. But let's all just have a cup of tea, just relax, and just hope Burnley is the focus now. This FA Cup malark is over, and what Claudio did, his formation, it could have been arrogant, it could have even been quite tactical as an experiment, because he's not concentrating on the cup. He even said when he said Fosu Mensah can go back, he said, our priority is survival. Fulham is to survive. So I've got a feeling he didn't give many a shit about the FA Cup, to be honest, and I don't think he'll take it as seriously as all of us are. But we'll move on to the Burnley thing after the quiz, which is coming straight after this.
Fulham.
And welcome back. Now it's time for a little bit of glorious quiz to try and make us all feel a little less suicidal at the moment. All right, so we'll start. The most points that each of my co-hosts can get are 19, and if you're playing along at home, you can get 24 points in total. Right, we'll do with round one. I've got love for you if you played more than 80-80. All right, 5 questions in this round for both of you. All right. Did the following players make at least 80 appearances for Fulham in all competitions? Did the following players make at least 80 appearances for Fulham in all competitions? And I'll start with you, Mr. Rees. Number 1, Steve Marlett.
Steve Marlett, 80 all competitions, no.
Okie dokie. And for you, John?
I'm going to go with no as well.
All right, you are both correct. Steve Marlett had 78 appearances for the club. Excellent. 1-1. Nice. All right, number 2, Antti Niemi. And Mr. Rees.
No.
All right, no. And for you, John, what's the answer for that one?
I'm going to go yes on Antti.
Okay, I'm afraid you are wrong, John, and Rees is right. He had 63 appearances, so he didn't make 80 either there. All right, number 3, Hugo Rodallega. And I'll go to this one for you, John.
Yes.
All right. And for you, Mr. Rees?
I'm going to go yes as well.
He did. He made 88 appearances for us. All right. Okay, so that's 3-2 to Mr. Rees. All right. Number 4, Mr. Rees, I'll go to this one for you. Papa Bouba Diop.
Diop, 2004, 3 seasons, 80. Got to be. Yes.
All right. Yes. And for you, Mr. John?
I'll go yes. I'm chasing the game. I should probably say no, but I think he's right.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It was 84 appearances for him, so it's 4-3 to Rees. And final one, Dan Burn. And I'll go to you, Mr. John, for that one. Dan Burn.
Dan Burn. Oh. I'm going to say no for Dan.
All right. And for you, Mr. Rees?
I'm going to say yes.
Oh, it was a no for Dan Burns, so that makes it 4-4. That's a tasty.
How did he get? How did he get?
He got 69 appearances. Ooh. 69 appearances.
I think two either way makes it sheer guesswork, but that probably stands me in good stead, to be honest.
Yeah,
it does indeed. All right, round 2, back and forth. All right, so you get 5 guesses each for this one, guys, and it's back and forth, like the title suggests. Name the top 10 transfer fees for player departures. So name the top 10 transfer fees for player departures for Fulham FC. And I'll go to you first, John, because you won the last question.
Moussa Dembele the first.
Moussa Dembele the first. That is correct. Moussa Dembele was £15 million from Spurs, and he was our most expensive one, in number 1. All right, and for you, Mr. Rees?
Oh, I thought my one was still number one. Louis Saha. Now we got a lot for him.
Louis Saha was 12.8 million from Manchester United. That is a point for you, Mr. He was the second most expensive. All right, a point each. All right, and you, John?
Oh, this is where I struggle. Let's go with Chris Smalling.
Chris Smalling. We sold Chris Smalling. He is on the list for 10 million to Manchester United. All right, well done, John. And for you, Mr. Rees?
We'll go across Manchester for Patrick Roberts.
Patrick Roberts, indeed. Patrick Roberts was fourth with 11 million to Manchester City. Very good. All right, John, on to you.
Dempsey. I think I'm clutching at straws here.
Clint Dempsey was between 6 and 7 million pounds to Spurs. Very good. That's very right. And he was the seventh most expensive. And for you, Mr. Rees?
Right, now I'm officially struggling. Now we're out of it.
Can see you shaking.
Right, who have we sold? Big names.
Mm-hmm.
Bugger. Bobby Zamora.
Bobby Zamora. You're in luck. He was the 9th most expensive, so that's very good. Bobby Zamora. Actually, in fact, he was 9th and 10th because he was split with someone else. So Bobby Zamora is correct. £5 million to QPR. Very good. All right, John, and for you.
Oh, struggling here. This might be a bit off-piste, but maybe Roy got us a good deal for Konchesky.
Konchesky, okay, let's have a look-see. Konchesky, I'm afraid, is not on the list, mate. I'm really sorry. So, Reese, you've got a chance to pounce here, mate. Number one for you, please, sir.
God, doesn't it say something about our club where we can only get 10 players over £5 million? How
a little bit,
yeah. Value so much?
100 million as well that we spend, but to sell, not much, yeah.
Luis Boa-Morte.
Luis Boa-Morte. Interesting. He is there, and he is joint 10th with a bunch of guys because he was £5 million as well. So I'm going to give you Luis Boa-Morte. Luis Boa-Morte went for £5 million to West Ham. Very good, mate. Very good. All right. And John, final one for you. Final guess.
I'm a little bit well.
Or knowledge, I mean, like final guess.
He was worth it, but Edwin van der Sar.
Van der Sar is not on the list.
That's a travesty.
That is a travesty. I'm surprised by that, actually. But no, unfortunately not. And final guess for you, Reese.
My point exactly. So Van der Sar went to Manchester United for less than £5 million. How the hell did that get pulled off? I'm going to go for Zat Knight.
Zat Knight. And Zat Knight is not on the list either, my friend. Zat Knight is not on the list. So in total,
was Steed on there?
Steed was not on there. So you could have had Louis Boa-Morte, Jimmy Bullard, and Mitroglou and Bobby Zamora all went for £5 million to their clubs. And number 8 was Ashkan Dejaga, 5.5 million. Number 7 was Clint Dempsey, which you mentioned. Number 6 was Sonny Aluko with 7.5 million to Reading. Number 5 was Smalling for 10 million to Manchester United. 4, Patrick Roberts, like you mentioned. Number 3 was Ross McCormack, £12 million. Exactly money we spent.
Oh my God, I had that in my head as well.
And then 2, Louis Saha, and 1, Moussa Dembele, the first. So with that all in, it's still very close, guys. Reese is currently on 8 and John is on 7. Very good. All right. Round 3, that's not my name. Are the following names those of ex-Fulham players, professional footballers from around the world, or that they just made up? All right, and I'll go to you first, Mr. Reese. Number 1, Bernd Haas. Or Bernd Haas.
I get the feeling I've come across him on Football Manager, so I'm going to say he's a player from around the world.
All right, a player from around the world. And for you, John, what is your guess on this one?
I think I'm with him, but let's not get points. Let's make it interesting. I'm going to say none of the above. As in, he's not
none of the above. Completely made up, you're going for.
I am.
Very good. Well, he has 36 caps for Switzerland, Mr. Bernd Haas. Haas played for Sunderland and West Bromwich Albion, where he supposedly was famous for eating hot curries, and he retired in 2010. So that is 1-0 to the Reese. All right, next one, and I'll go to you for this one, John. Willie Walker. Willie Walker. Professional, Fulham player, professional footballer, Fulham player, or completely fucking made up?
Oh, pun in the dark. Fulham player. 60s, I reckon.
Player. Okay, and for you, Mr. Reese?
Yeah, same line, but I'm thinking 50s.
All right, cool. And you were both correct. He was a halfback for us who played between 1909 and 1921, making 178 appearances and scoring 24 goals. Willie Walker, we salute you and your chocolate factory. All right, number 3. And I'll go to you for this, Mr. Reese. Peter Panda. Sorry, I just sorry.
Peter Panda.
Peter Kung Fu Panda.
He's in South Park. Peter Panda's in South Park. Don't get made up.
Yeah, he's from Neverland as well. Go on.
I think he picked a pickled pepper as well. I'm gonna go with Reese and say made up.
Made up for John and made up for Reese. Well, I can tell you that Peter Panda, he is a German football official, who has had dealings with Wolfsburg and more recently Borussia Mönchengladbach. Also played a bit of football back in the day, so he's technically a football player, but he's not capped by the Netherlands. Or the Neverlands, rather. Excellent. So, you're both wrong. Sorry about that. Okay.
I think we're right on because he wasn't involved in international football. I mean, this is incredibly confusing, but
well,
I'm guessing the distinction is Fulham player, international player, or none of the above. Or
it says Fulham player, international player, or none of, or completely made up. Now, but the thing is, he's not made up. He's not made up because he was actually.
In fairness, we both 0 points, so it doesn't matter, does it?
I think he was an official player. He played back in the day, and he wasn't capped for the Netherlands. Haha. So let's just say, all right, you're both wrong. You're both wrong. Fuck off. Okay, all right. Number 4, and we'll go to you with this one, Mr. Reese. Perry Digweed.
No. By process of no, I'm going made up for that one. Made up. One of them.
Okay. All right, and John, for you, Perry Digweed.
I think he was certainly a Fulham player at some point.
He was. Yeah, well done, you got a point. He began his career at Fulham in 1976 and made appearances. He spent the majority of his career with Brighton. After retiring from football in 1995, he randomly went on to appear alongside Vinnie Jones in the film Mean Machine.
He was the groundsman for years, wasn't he?
I have no idea. That information is not in front of me, but we could go with that.
It was a joke about digging weeds, to be honest, but went.
Oh, very good, very good. Okay, all right, number 5, and this is for you, John. I'll go. This is okay. Number 5, Arse Bandit.
Oh, that's got to be too good to be true. I'm going to say, I can't pretend that he's not true. He's definitely an international footballer.
Okay, international footballer for John. And for you, Mr. Reese?
No, I'm sticking with it. One of these will be made up, and I'm going with that one. Made up.
Made up, okay. Well, you fell for the trap there, Mr. Reese, because he was supposedly an Algerian footballer in the 1970s, and there seems to be thin evidence of his existence, but he is certainly included either way. Those are the notes from Danny. So I'm afraid that's you lost the point there, Reese. So in that round, John got 3 and Reese got 2. So amazingly, that has made it 7, 8, 9, 10. That has made it 10 all for the final round. This is tasty. All right, final round, guys, and this is guess the player. And Don, yeah, just if you're listening to this, mate, just edit around all me being stuttery. Okay. Round 4, guess the player. All right, guys, you know this round. It's probably one of my favourites. I list 10 facts about this player out, and if you get between 1 fact to 3 facts, you get 4 points. If you get 4 to 6, you get 3 points. If you get 7 to 8, you get 2 points, and 9 to 10, you get 1 point. All right, let's do this. Fact number 1. This player is 6'3" tall. Guys, it's 10 all, so you're going to have to be really on this. Fact number 2. He has been promoted to the Premier League twice, but not with Fulham.
Buzz, David Stockdale.
Go on. David Stockdale. Okay, I'm freezing you on David Stockdale at number 2 there. That's a potential 4 points for Mr. Reese. And, okay, keep going. He's currently playing for his 14th club. 9 of those have been loans. That's fact number 3. All right, fact number 4. He has made 52 appearances across 6 years with Fulham. All right, fact number 5. He didn't score any goals.
I think Reese might be onto one here.
Fact number 6. He has been called up to the England squad a couple of times, but was never selected to play. Okay. Fact number 7. He was in tears at the final whistle of the Stoke game when we were relegated. Fact number 8. You can if you like, but it wouldn't matter because Reese has got there first. Is that your final answer for Stockdale?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay, fine. So you're going for Stockdale at number 7, and I'll release the rest of the facts. Number 8, he once saved a penalty from Nani against Manchester United. Number 9, Felix Magath sold him to Brighton when we were relegated in 2014. And number 10, he was always the number 2 goalkeeper at Fulham, firstly to Mark Schwarzer and then to Martin Stekelenburg. So, yes, Reese has got the point there because he picked it up a lot earlier. He got 4 points, so that is 14 to Reese and 10 to John. Well done, Mr. Reese. Fantastic.
Great effort, Reese.
Staying on the line of the quiz, I've got one for you because I'm ever in the mood for throwing a curveball. It took a somewhat serious turn, but basically, we were talking earlier about the Sheffield United game from 2014 and comparing it to the Oldham game for the weekend. And basically, it comes down to again about a strengthened side or a weakened side. So it came an idea because I had this sort of debate a couple of years ago. I won't bore you to the full details of it, but it basically boils down to which team had the most international caps between them, because it signifies, the more senior caps you get, the more experienced you are as a player, so on and so forth. So how weakened were you as a side? Do you sort of see where I'm going with this?
Yes, of course.
John gets it. The other John, do you get it?
I get it. I understand.
You get the idea. Okay, so it basically boils down to which team had the most international caps. I'm not going to go through the lineups because that will probably give it away. But which team had the most international caps between them? Was it the 2014 game against Sheffield United or this weekend's game against Oldham? And Jmac, I'll go to you first.
Oh, I love it when I get to play. All right, okay. I couldn't have said that any camper, could I? All right, let's let me think. I'm gonna go with that Sheffield team, mate. I think that was the one we got the most caps.
The Sheffield United. So you're going with the Sheffield United one, and John, the other John, you?
Yeah, it's difficult because I think Scott Parker alone probably sways that quite heavily, and I think even Hangeland might have played, or Hughes. Awkward with the African nations in the current team, but I think I'm going to go with Jmac and say the two. Was it 2004?
2014.
Yeah, bang on. You were absolutely correct. So this current side had 116 international caps between them. Tim Ream getting the most of them, Mitch Fitz getting a lot, and the other one had 303.
You're joking!
Wow,
a bit heavily weighted by Clint Dempsey and Breda Hangeland.
So I'll tell you what, that was a lot worse than Oldham. That game was abysmal. My uncle treated me to that game, and we were all praying it didn't go to extra time, and it was freezing. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen. So it can get worse.
Yeah, it can.
Did it go to extra time? It did go to extra time, didn't it? And then they scored in the 119th minute. Am I right?
It did. I mean, if it went to penalties, there would have been 5 missed penalties per side. I'm certain of it.
Oh man, that's brilliant. Mate, I enjoyed that round. That's really good. I'm trying to think of a prize for you though, Reese, for winning that round. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a mascot football kit for yourself to squeeze into, because I think we should make the point that there have been some rumours that Fulham charge £270 for a mascot, and I'd like to put us to bed that they are wrong. It is absolutely free. If you want to pay $700 plus, you have to be an Everton mascot or a West Ham mascot. So enjoy your little mascot suit there, Mr. Reese, and just remember, Fulham are not charging for that. All right, excellent. So after this, we will talk a bit about Burnley.
Fulham.
And welcome back. So, Burnley, I mean, look, guys, let's just talk about it really, really bluntly. I mean, we know for a fact that this is the important game. This is feels like a gajillion 6-pointer that we've come up against. I mean, what would you expect Claudio's frame of mind to be right now, Mr. Reese? I mean, what would you expect to change for this match? I mean, is our confidence completely shot now, or actually, do you think it was an FA Cup game? We still got a chance of being confident, even though the Oldham result.
I know Claudio Ranieri doesn't exactly come across as the shouty, what's the phrase? Blood and guts, fire and thunder, whatever the phrase is. Come up with another one yourself. Sort of manager. But I hope that on Monday, today, whenever you record this / listen to this, he gave every single player both barrels and said, right, this is not acceptable. Even if you had to, maybe his English isn't all that great, you had to get Scott Parker to do the yelling. You get the gist. This really should be a kick up the backside moment for us, and it's sort of perfect that we've got Burnley coming up, because if it was away to Manchester City or away to Arsenal, say, coming up, it may not have the big effect. But the fact that we've now got a relegation 6-pointer, if you want to call it 6-pointer, in January coming up, that's going to be crucial, because now I think this is, a lot of people were talking about the test of Wolves, Huddersfield, Newcastle, sort of over the Christmas period. This is now, I think, the what's the phrase? No, there's a phrase. Never turn back moment. Someone tell me what it is. Come on.
Now or never.
Thank you. Sorry. Because I think this is the turning point for the season. If we don't come out with a win against, this is a must win. All games are must wins, but even so, when it's against a fellow relegation candidate, this is a must win. If we don't come out with a win this weekend, that's it. Done. Start planning your road trips for Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday and all that lot. This game we cannot draw or lose, but this is a must win, and hopefully Claudio Ranieri gets that message across to the players.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And for you, John, I mean, we talk about tactics and how the 4-3-3 didn't work, and you think that Claudio was potentially saying to not just the press, but actually certain critics of his style, that actually he's probably going to go all out here with his counter-attacking side and forget 4-3-3. How do you see the game going down?
I think I could pick the lineup apart from the two attacking wide players. I think it's the season. There are so many poor teams this season. I don't necessarily think it is definitely a must win. I mean, I think we should win. I mean, we have to win. But actually, the league is so poor that we've been so abysmal all season, and we're still in with a chance. I think if we don't drop points if we get a draw, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But this has just been such an abysmal season. Like, if we can't, every team against us kind of gets rid of some bogey or some monkey on their back, and we've got the monkey of never winning against Burnley at Turf Moor. So please, the odds of enough dice rolled or monkeys with typewriters writing Shakespeare. Like, please, let's just get this one off our back. I think Ranieri's completely now not only made the point to the board and the players that this is his way or no way, but I actually wonder, as we say, this is a kind of pendulum in a seesaw of the season. If we lose this and lose it with a limp performance, I wonder if our transfer targets for this window completely change. It might be we lose this and we concentrate on getting some championship players we're not going to lose in the summer. We win this, and they might reach a little bit deeper in the pockets to get a bit more firepower that possibly wouldn't stay with us next season, because we had no players at the beginning of this season, and if we get relegated, I can't see any of these players hanging about. So we're going to have the exact same problem. So I've probably over elaborated a bit there, but it's a huge game. Huge game. We can win this.
I think the monkey on the shoulder feels like more of a gorilla, because I didn't actually know that stat until you just said it. But it's good to spend time to mention the transfer dealings, because I think I agree with you both. If we lose at Turf Moor, I think we have to start actually considering potentially getting tough for the Championship rather than tough for a Premier League survival, because I think it might be out of the question by then, and too little too late. I find it quite ironic that we might be in this situation against a team like Burnley, who have managed to survive all these years in the Premier League by picking the best of the Championship and always making it actually a very good model to work with a very strict and not so in the money owner like we have with Shahid Khan and his son. But going to the transfer targets, it seems that Cahill now has been taking quite a long time to get over, and Sarri, the manager of Chelsea, just recently said that, I'm not too sure if Cahill's actually wants to leave. So we don't know. That's all up in the air at the moment, and we were meant to be going for some left winger from Croatia who apparently is from Juventus but went to Fiorentina on loan. His name's Pajaka. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but Claudio revealed in the press that we're not after him at all. So to do with the transfer, obviously he's playing against Liverpool. He's playing for Liverpool right now. So Origi, what are your thoughts on him? It's because we've actually been linked with him for a number of times now. Reece, is this the sort of the 4-4-2 companion to Mitro that we might be looking for?
No, I think we've already got the 4-4-2 companion we've been looking for. And there's been a lot, when Ranieri took the job over, there was a lot of talk of, when we got rid of Ivanovic, getting rid of Ivanovic not only affects the first team, it affects the youth team, because it means, they've got to change their style of play, so we want all our players playing the same way. So if we are to assume that the Claudio Ranieri way has gone down through the youth team, I think there's an option, and I'm being deadly serious with this, get Stephen Humphreys up in the starting 11. There seems to be something. He only seems to score goals when he's with us. I don't know what it is, but it was okay at Scunthorpe, and he did okay at I think it was Oldham. I think he went to Oldham last year. It was either Oldham or Rochdale, somewhere. He played.
It was Rochdale, yeah.
Scored. Rochdale, thank you. Either way, for some reason, he loves to score when he's playing in a Fulham shirt. I think at this stage, I don't think there's anything left to lose. I think get Stephen Humphreys and Alexander Mitrovic up top, and my word, start flinging crosses in, because those two are beasts. And we've talked about Mitrovic, not having enough serves get in. Get Stephen Humphreys in as well, because he can head the ball in, and if the ball drops to his feet, he can finish with his feet as well. My word, just give him a chance. I think we've got our centre forward problem solved. We don't need to go out and buy Divock Origi. Get Stephen Humphreys in the starting 11.
I personally love that idea, and I think Stevie Humphreys is I've always liked the look of him when he played for that one time under Jukanovic's reign. I thought he looked incredibly sharp and very, quite fast moving for quite a stocky bloke. Just the small amount I saw of him, I was very impressed by. This is something we might have to look at if we do lose, though, to actually start incorporating some of our, the Matt O'Reillys, the Stephen Humphreys, and the De La Torres. What are your thoughts on this, John, with the transfer? Are there any of these sort of centre backs that have been linked with Cahill, or the Croatian Vida from the World Cup, who was in the World Cup team for them? Are these sort of standing out to you at all?
It's quite short. To be honest, I want what you guys are smoking, because Humphreys up front is just wow. I could see near the end of the season, once we're relegated, getting Humphreys in there, protecting Mitro so we can get a fee for him. But the two of them up top doesn't fill me with a massive amount of joy, to be honest. Matt O'Reilly, but let's just go back, because I think Humphreys scored for us in the under-23s a couple of days or a day before playing in the FA Cup. That was the time to play. Yeah. That was the time to play these players. This isn't the time to play them. Origi, to be honest, if we're going to go with Ranieri's 4-4-2, do we have two central midfielders that can play that system? Is Chambers a Premier League quality central midfielder? And Seri, while I really like him and I think he could be brilliant, he's not being brilliant, and he definitely isn't. He's not a Kante or a Drinkwater. So, is that where we need to strengthen? Counter-attacking football is quite frustrating at the moment because we don't win the ball back. If you had two players in the middle who weren't creative, didn't hold on to possession, but were they just harried players and won the ball back, then we would be countering a lot more often. Therefore, we wouldn't have to defend so often. So I think Cahill would be strong. If you imagine Cahill and Mawson at the back, obviously Mawson's injured, do you need another centre-back with them? Because I don't think you would. And that would then give us an extra player possibly in midfield or up top. So that would be a big sign. And getting Mawson fit, which sounds a bit worrying at the moment. But for me, with Schürrle, Sess and AK up front, on the wing, on the wide up front, I don't think we're so far off. Is Origi a massive upgrade on any of them? At the moment, I wouldn't say no to any player, but for me, we're looking in the centre of midfield, and basically, we're just scrapping the idea of having ball players in the midfield, and we're going to need ball winners in the midfield. So that's where I think we might go.
All right, perfect. There's another rumour of a French guy from Bordeaux. We love these guys from France. Youssouf Sabali, a right back, a very versatile fullback. Actually, he can play left. He's been playing left back for most of the time at Bordeaux, but he's naturally a right back. And it stinks of another transfer that is just an Anguissa who could just turn out to be complete pants, even though his statistics are very high. I mean, John, what are your feelings on this? Is this just another scattergun potential approach by the Khans once again that will just get us with muck on our face? What do you think?
It's difficult, because it's easy to criticise this approach, but actually, how many decent Premier League players can we afford or get from teams in and around us? And the answer is very few. So these kind of off the wall, out of kind of nowhere signings, it's a bit like me when I bet. I can't bet on I bet £1 and I win 50 pence. I've got to bet £1 and win 1,000, and I never win 1,000. But I kind of feel that's how our transfer system goes. Every single transfer, every single manager, nothing's guaranteed. You might buy someone you've never heard of and he's brilliant. You might buy someone who's got, Mitroglou and he's rubbish. So I'm not ruling anyone out or anyone in unless they're interested with kind of rumours, because so much of it's false. And then even if you get the player, you never know anything or anything. So I've just completely given up. Roll a dice, see what happens. Don't expect too much on them, and hopefully they'll stay with us if we get relegated or if we stay up.
Yeah, exactly. And John, just finally before we all wrap this up, you're starting 11 for the Burnley game, the 6 points. How would you start this one lineup wise?
I think it's quite clear where we will go, but I'd be interested to hear your guys' opinions. I think we'll have Rico in goal, Christie, Adoy, Lemarchand and Ream, and Brian on the left, and then Seri Chambers in the midfield.
Yeah.
This is the only area where I think you might be in some debate, but seeing as none of them started in the Cup game, I'd probably go for Cess and AK with Mitra up top. What do you guys think?
I'm completely with you for that. I want to see AK back, especially against a team like Burnley. What about you, Brees?
Yeah, I'm more or less the same. The five at the back and the two in midfield more or less right themselves. It's then a case of Cess and Mitrovic. I think are two of them. And then it's a toss of 8 different coins of who you want to have on the right wing. Yeah, I'll go with Kamara. I'll go with you guys and go with him.
Unfortunately, he's kind of the biggest impact sub, but you could have Schürrle, but I don't think AK, although he's had his little hissy fits and, controversy, I think he does deserve a start, especially as he didn't play against Oldham. Yeah,
and you need to get some of that bad, a bit of that bad energy from the Oldham game out and a lot of it in. So I think you've got a good mix. You've still got Chambers and you've got Mitra up there, and obviously Adoy, and getting the amount of players on that we're mentioning would be a good mix for a game like Burnley, I think. And when it comes to Schürrle, can't stand the bloke, I'm afraid, but don't want to see him anywhere near the Burnley game, or never ever again, to be honest. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up there. Sorry, Schürrle. All right, we'll call it a day there. Thank you very much to you lovely people listening at home. If you did well in the quiz, tweet us and we'll shower you in glory. And don't forget to subscribe to us, tell your friends about us. We're on Spotify now, so always come and enjoy the fun that is being a Fulham fan at the moment. And so we will be back after the Burnley result and we will decide whether or not we still have life in us yet. So for the meantime, it's goodbye from me and it's goodbye from Mr. Reese.
Goodbye, lads. I'm going to say goodbye.
Go on.
Okay. Goodbye, lads.
Nice one. And that is goodbye from John.
Cheers, lads.
Nice one, guys. All right, see you soon, people.